All right. Oh, it's a little loud. Good morning. Or not good morning, I guess we're already at the afternoon. Um, so, yeah, as you just heard, I work at Bellevue College. I work in multicultural services. So, similar to what Doris is doing here for you all, I do over there at Bellevue College. I also am adjunct faculty in sociology and cultural and ethnic studies. And besides that, that's like my regular day job. Then I also manage a dance company. I remember you. And yes, you. You worked at Bellevue College for a little while too, right? Okay. Um, I manage a dance company, and I also manage an all-women's Caribbean steel drum band. So music and dance are a fundamental part of my life, and I'm so happy that Doris asked me to be here because, we spend a lot of time in academia talking and reading and talking and talking, but, there's other ways to learn, and getting in your body and learning the dance and the music of a culture is a great way to kind of bring in Diversity Week and really learn from a different angle what a certain culture or group of people is about. And that's what you're going to get today is a really rich history that comes from unpacking the roots of salsa. So I'm going to, again, try to not talk too long. We are going to be dancing most of the time. I'm going to try to keep my talk to like 15 minutes, 17 maybe, because I want to show you a little bit of footage that I think is really important. But we will mostly be dancing, so don't worry. But listen to this part because it's really important to know, to not just step into a dance like, oh, la la la, I'm doing this, Mexican dance from Colombia or whatever. Like I've heard all kinds of, crazy references for salsa and all kinds of different music and dance because we're not really taught about it. If you went to your average public school, you probably didn't spend a lot of time learning about Latin America or the Caribbean. So, it's not people's fault that they don't know. But today, you get a chance to learn. So, this might seem really basic, but I just have to say. So, Latin America consists of Mexico, Central America, which is the countries of Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, the Caribbean islands of Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Cuba, and South America. Brazil was colonized by the Portuguese, so they don't speak Spanish, but we still consider Brazil part of Latin America. So that is the region that we're talking about when we reference Latin American culture and history. So I'm just going to take you real briefly through understanding a little bit about the peoples who come from this country and how salsa came to be. And so it starts originally with indigenous populations, which not everybody knows, but that's who was formerly the original people of Latin America were indigenous people. And it's said that right now there's about 50 million people who are indigenous in Latin America. During the Spanish invasion, they were really successful in their determination to wipe out most of the indigenous populations, and they did that. Mostly not through actual fighting, but through the spread of diseases like smallpox. So Latin history, Latin people, and Latin culture is rooted in indigenous peoples and ways of being. This is an indigenous group from Brazil, Peru, and Guatemala, and so there's styles of dress and food and customs and even dialects and languages that go to all these various indigenous groups all throughout Latin America. The Spanish is obviously a big part of Latin American culture. It's why Latinos speak Spanish, because Latin America was colonized by Spain. And so the language, the culture, the customs, the religion was forced upon the people in Latin America, those who remained of the indigenous, as well as the African slaves that were brought over. So I'm going to be kind of emphasizing the significance of African culture in salsa music and dance, because it's something that a lot of people don't know about, especially on the West Coast, as a lot of Latinos here are Mexican or Central American, and so they don't have necessarily the understanding of like Cuban and Puerto Rican and Colombian culture where you see more Afro-Latinos, and so that's kind of a thing that I find a lot of even Latinos themselves don't know about. So between 1525 and 1866, it's estimated that around 12.5 million Africans were brought over. And of those 12.5 million Africans, only 10.7 million survived. And what surprises people more than anything else is that this is an estimate from an article Lewis Gates Jr. wrote, who does a lot of research into the African diaspora. And so it's estimated that around only 400,000 were actually shipped to North America. So when we talk about black people and black identity, to leave out Latin America is a huge oversight, because actually way more slaves were brought to Latin America than anywhere else. And so it is home to the largest group of black people outside of Africa itself. And probably we can ask our lovely Doris here, who probably sometimes has people say, wait, you're Latina? Because people, especially here on the West Coast, can't understand that Latinos are not a race, that Latinos come in every shade, and we are a mixed people of various cultural and racial backgrounds. So in this picture, I don't know if anybody watched when Juan Pablo was on The Bachelor. He was a jerk, a bad representation for the first Latino male on The Bachelor, and also a white Latino, right? And so colorism and all the racial dynamics that we observe in the U.S. also play out in Latin America too. So Latinos can look as white as Juan Pablo. There's a lot of Japanese who immigrated to Brazil, and so you can meet Brazilians who you would think are Japanese, but they will speak to you only in Portuguese and are Brazilian. Indigenous people, African people, black people, and probably most commonly is a mix of all of that. So I'm already talking way too much, but that's really fundamental, because it's probably one of the things that I think is most misunderstood about Latino culture and Latino people is the fact that we are not a homogenous race, and that we come from this rich history of migration and African diaspora. So, okay, music and dance. You know, there's positive things and negative things that happen in all this cultural spreading, but salsa music and dance is itself birthed from all these different influences of this migration and that history that I just told you of groups coming together. And so without the Spanish influence, we wouldn't hear the guitar and the piano in salsa, and without the African influence, we wouldn't hear the drum and a lot of the essential rhythms that go into salsa. And so to understand this music is to really have to understand and unpack the history of the peoples who have lived in Latin America. And like I said before, I really want to highlight the fact that salsa is an African or an Africanized music that is derived, and its soul is of people of African descent. Of all those slaves that were brought to Latin America, slaves in Latin America were able to retain their African history and culture and identity more than they were in North America. And so when you listen to a salsa song, it's not uncommon that you will hear people mixing in Yoruban words mixed in with the Spanish, because they actually were able to retain even some of their language from West Africa. It's also not uncommon to hear lots of reference to the orishas. And so part of the way that black slaves in Latin America were able to retain their religious practices was by disguising their different spiritual deities under the guise of Catholic saints. And so they would take, you know, their colonizers' religion, Catholicism, and, you know, pretend like they were praying to Merced or whoever the saint is, but they're actually praying to Yemaya or Oshun, Ogun. And so you hear a lot of reference to that in salsa music, to the orishas, and that was a big way that African culture was preserved. Move past that. So, real quickly, I'll just say, to clarify, so if you were to pinpoint a country, and some of you were in my SOCC workshop, so you already heard me ask this, so you don't get to answer. If you were to pinpoint a country that salsa came from, where did salsa originate? Because Latin America is just kind of a broad, region. Where specifically does salsa music and dance come from? You can just shout it out. Oh my gosh, I didn't think we were going to get it on the first time. But yes, it was kind of a trick question. Oh, am I already there? Oh my God. I was like, who is this person? Okay, well, yes. So, most people will go, oh, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Cuba. Definitely it has a strong foundation in Cuban music. And so when Cubans migrated to New York, they were influenced by the big band and jazz scene. They were also influenced by Black American music. And likewise, musicians coming from Latin America to the States influenced American popular music, and Latinos and Latino musicians were influenced by what was happening in popular music, such as jazz in the 50s and then rock and roll in the 60s. So it truly goes both ways, but essentially salsa was born. It finally landed or came to be in the hoods, or what we call in Spanish the barrio of New York City. And so Cuba is definitely on point as a reference for where the rhythms came from, but as a huge influx of Puerto Ricans came to New York, they brought their music, their traditions, and their essence to salsa as well. And then, so did Dominicans and so did Colombians. The barrio is the place where all the Latinos were, mostly Spanish, Harlem and New York. And so it was this rich lab for all these people to come together and make this amazing music. This is a quote from Willie Colon, who's one of the most famous salsa musicians and composers of all time. And he says, "The barrio is a refuge, a ghetto for Latin Americans. In the U.S., Latinos are a minority living in the context of discrimination, and only in the barrio are they able to reproduce their original environment. In el barrio, we find the profound psychological and cultural factors that give rise to salsa, precisely in the Latino neighborhoods of New York, where it emerges as a manifestation of cultural resistance. Salsa emerges as something of our own, which is why it's full of politics and stories from the street. It's a music of the city, and its melodies are essentially urban." So you don't get salsa without that experience of what it was like to be in the 60s in New York City. My father, when he first came to the U.S., migrated to New York City, so all I hear is stories of what it was like back then. And I definitely feel like I was born in the wrong time, and I was supposed to be dancing in the salsa clubs back there, not in Seattle in 2008 or whenever it was that I started doing that. So I'm going to show you a real quick clip of this video. It's called Our Latin Thing. It's from one of the producers of the Fania label. So if you don't know much about salsa, you can just Google like Fania label artists, and they were like holding it down for the salsa scene in New York in the 70s, and some of the most amazing artists came out of that label. And this video was made, and some people say that this was the night that salsa was born. When things are like an evolution and a modge podge of different stuff, it's hard to pinpoint when something stopped being Afro-Cuban jazz, when something stopped being mambo, and when did it actually become salsa. Some people will say that it was this night in New York City in the Cheetah Club in Manhattan where all these amazing musicians were under the same roof, and they made and evolved and created what we know as salsa now. And there's way too much to talk about for me to really break that down more like musically what that looks like, but there's also some cool footage of New York in the 70s in this, so I'm just going to show like 1 minute of this and get you kind of hyped to dance. I'm just going to pull it up on here so I can make it bigger. think it has to be off of this one. There we go. So that was Hector Lavoe. If you don't know who he is, you should. If you like salsa, he's amazing. This is like just the streets of New York in the 60s. People out dancing. Free concerts in not Times Square, Central Park, from what my dad tells me. It was like a magical time and I missed it all. So, like Willie Colon said, it comes out of an urban experience, and New York in the 70s was a rough place, and a lot of the music talks about kind of those experiences of what it was like growing up there, kind of how you might hear in hip-hop as well, people just kind of sharing their struggle of living. So moving over real fast to dance, how the dance evolved with this. I'm not going to even play these video clips because I just want you to dance yourselves. But essentially, like the European influence in salsa is that there were dance forms like danzón. Well, actually, no, danzón was what it evolved to. So contra dance, contra danza, or in French, contre danse, something like that, is what kind of brought that structured feeling. You know, you would see people come in a line, or they also call it quadrille dancing, I think, and you kind of step forward and it's very formal and your posture is up. So that was kind of what the Europeans brought to salsa dance. What black people, descendants of African slaves, brought to it is, I have to play this clip, sorry. Because this is, you can imagine what it looks like to dance really stiff, right? But rumba, which is an Afro-Cuban dance. Una rumba con dos, tres. Esto sí tiene que ver. Esto es algo diferente para que lo baile usted. So way more hips, lots of hips. You're bending your legs. You're not confined to an upright position. You'll see the guy shimmying his shoulders a lot. So that's the African influence of African dance in partner dance. Lots of hips, lots of booty. Get ready to work your hips and your butt today, okay? No stiff dancing in salsa. So today what like people most commonly reference as salsa dancing is like the top performers. This isn't what like your grandma dances like at home in parties, but like this is what people aspire to when they go to these things called salsa congresses that they have all over the world, and you go like take classes all day long and you dance till like 4 o'clock in the morning. This is a Cuban woman, Alien, and she's amazing. I'm just going to show a little clip of her social dancing. This is kind of like what we now know as like salsa dancing, or what people kind of aspire to as it's become a more mainstream dance form. Sorry, you gotta watch this commercial. Thank you, Pepsi. this dance form evolved. What we're going to do today is not going to get you looking like her in 1 hour. But if you feel like you get bitten by the bug, this music makes you want to dance, you see people doing it and you want to do it really bad. That was me when I was a kid. Like, I was just like, oh, one day I want somebody to spin me a whole bunch of times. And I never thought I'd really be able to do it because it seems so hard. I couldn't even do like one turn. And then I got determined and I went to Century Ballroom and I asked a team, like a performance team, I was like, because I knew that they rehearsed like multiple times a week. And that's how you get good at anything, right? Like, I'm not a natural salsa dancer. I put in a lot of hard time and work to be able to do it. And so any of you can do that too. There's classes, there's tons of studios, Salsa in Seattle, Century Ballroom, Sueños de Salsa, Valórico Salsa con Todo, Belltown Dance Studio, La Vida, which is in Bellevue. Lots of places to go take dance classes if you really want to learn. And trust me, if you see people doing something and you're like, I want to do it, you just have to bust your butt and you can do it. It just takes a lot of hard work. And it's worth it because it's a language, and then you get to go all around the world, and without even like, you could go to Japan and go to a salsa club and not speak a word of Japanese, but you step to somebody and you know exactly what you're doing, right? Because it's ingrained, and it's one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. So I'm glad that I stuck with it, and I hope you get inspired to do so too.